Welcome. This is Talking With. I'm Gil Matthew, your host. This is where we pull back the curtain on yesterday in Nevada County. Well, times were different then, but we're going to take a look back at that different time. But we always remember that 20 years from now, these will be the good old days. But we're going to talk about the good old days. Today, I have as my guest with me Jim Moule. Welcome, Jim.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
So, first of all, let's get something out of the way, Jim. This is, you're associated with a company here in town, Moule Paint and Glass. Is that true?
That is true, yeah. Company that was started the same year I was born.
I was going to ask you about August the 17th, 1949. Anything spectacular about that day for you?
Well, there was a little activity at Miners Hospital. They were scurrying around as number 6 in the Moule family came out. And I was born here locally in Nevada City.
1949. And you have 10 siblings.
No, I had 11. There was 12 of us. 4 of us have since died in the last several years. But yeah, I was number 6 of 12, and I was the third boy out of 6 boys in a row.
Wow.
So I'm a middle child.
You're in the middle of a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
So there was a big write-up on March 1st this year about Moule Paint and Glass. 75 years?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, That's a long time, Jim.
1949, my dad and mother started it.
That wasn't to get away because you were born, right? It had nothing to do with that.
Well, I wasn't born until 4 months after they started. So yeah, they wanted me to grow up in the glass business, and I definitely did. Good.
So a couple of things. I want to get away from the Moule Paint and Glass because we all know about that. But what we don't know about is a whole series of other things that I want to talk about. There's a rumor out there that the freeway that exists now between Nevada City and Grass Valley may have been rerouted while it was being built. Is that possible?
Well, it's possible because they were building the freeway. They started that freeway actually in the mid to later 50s. And they came and they staked everything out. Well, that was our backyard. We lived at the end of Catalpa Lane, which is only about 150 yards off of Nevada City Highway. And from our house to Idaho, Maryland Road, which was about half to 3/4 of a mile, there was not one house, not one paved road, not anything. That was our woods. We called that the woods. Well, all of a sudden they came and they put up stakes in our woods. So we went out there and thought, well, this is not right. So we pulled them all up, stored them in a little shed we had at our house. And they came back and did it again, and we pulled them all up. Second time they put some chalk around so that they would know where they were, and took us a while to get that out of there. But yeah, it could be that originally there was a Dorsey Drive interchange planned, but that was the area that we lived in. We took all the stakes out. Twice. In fact, Frank Galino, and the old timers will remember Frank Galino. He was the undersheriff while Wayne Brown was the sheriff. He finally came out to the house, talked to my dad. My dad made us take these things that we'd stored in our arms, carry them back out in the woods and dump them.
So the state of California got their stakes back.
They got them back, yeah. But then the original contractor went broke. So the freeway got delayed and didn't actually get completed until 1969. Yeah. So I graduated from high school in 68, so that was perfect. I moved away from home and they built the freeway.
So I had an opportunity to talk with Burl Robinson about the freeway, and he alerted me to the fact that the freeway, the differences between the freeway in Grass Valley and the freeway as it goes through Nevada City are very different. Are you aware of that?
Well, I know there was some changes made of, there's local politics that, instead of you'll notice going through Grass Valley, it's not straight. There's a big curve right there. And I think that had to do with local politics. I didn't get involved in any of that, so I don't know the details. But
well, the rumor is that Nevada City didn't want the freeway, so they made them put it below the natural grade there so they couldn't see it. And in Grass Valley, they wanted everybody to know they had a freeway, so they raised it up so you could see it.
Okay, well, that makes sense. That sounds like, Nevada City and Grass Valley haven't agreed on too much in the last 150 years, so that would just about be right.
Yeah. So you grew up in a time when two things were going on heavily in this community. One was mining, and the other was logging. Now, your parents had the glass and paint business. Did you have any business with the logging industry in those days?
Well, we did. My dad would put the glass in for the logging trucks when they, would have a broken windshield or a broken glass somewhere, or their loaders or whatever. So we had that kind of relationship. The thing I remember most about logging is when I turned 15 and a half, that was the industry in town, logging. And so you couldn't go anywhere without getting behind a log truck that was carrying a load of logs going 5 to 10 miles an hour up every hill. And as a 16-year-old wanting to go 50 miles an hour, that was not good for me. But.
Yeah, I can well imagine that. So did you own a car at that age?
Well, I owned a Jeep. First car I had was a 1942 military Jeep that I bought from a local guy, and drove that until I bought my Volkswagen bus.
Wow, a Volkswagen bus.
Oh yeah, camper special.
Golly, Jim. You were a hippie before there was a hippie world.
I didn't know about hippies, but yeah, I traveled all around the United States in that bus and then up to Alaska, and actually left it in Alaska. If I'd known what they were going to be worth today, I would have brought it back.
Kept it, yeah. No doubt about that. So there's a story that I've heard about you. I don't know whether it's true or not, but that you had gone out to some logging site, and on the way back, one of the trucks had a broken windshield, and your dad just pulled over and did what?
Well, this is actually back when they were building the French Meadows and Hellhole dams up in the woods that way. And my dad, just through his persistence, got the contract to replace all the glass and the windshields and everything. And one day, and I went up with him because I got in an accident when I was 14 at the old Spring Hill mine, which is soon to be Dorsey Marketplace. But anyhow, I ended up losing my eye and stayed out of school my freshman year of high school, and so he would grab me and we'd go up and do this work. Well, one day on the way back, the superintendent stops him and says, "Bill, I got a windshield I need in this truck." And I knew we didn't have any windshield. We'd already installed them all. He says, "Can you fix it?" And then my dad goes, yeah, we'll get her done for you. And then, I grew up in the time when you didn't say anything unless you were asked. So once we drove away from there, I said, "Dad, we don't have any windshields left." He took his finger and tapped on that one. He says, "That's the same truck we're driving. We're replacing it with ours." So we pulled the windshield out of ours truck, pulled the old broken one out of the other one, put the new windshield in there, put the broken windshield in our truck, and then drove back to Grass Valley. So,
that's called windshield on the fly.
Yes, sir. He was one of the first mobile auto glass guys out there. Nobody was doing it in those days.
Safe Flight's got nothing on you, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Safe Flight came much later. But his was a necessity because there wasn't much going on in Grass Valley, and so he went beyond the realm of the county to get work, and that worked out really good for him.
So as prior to that freshman in high school, did you actually work in the shop a lot as a kid?
Oh yeah, we were drugged down there, and even in high school. But before, about all you could do is sweep, because I had an older brother who thought he could cut glass, and he wouldn't teach me how to cut glass because I would be nudging in on his work. So yeah, there was a progression of, as you got older, you did more and more and had more and more responsibility.
Interesting. I've always been sort of fascinated by your glass company and the kind of work that you do. Anything that stands out about those early days in installing glass?
Well, we didn't have the best equipment. You would see these guys with suction cups and fancy staging and stuff. We would have extension ladders with planks on ladder jacks, and we would, we did some installations that today OSHA would seriously frown on. But my dad was a stickler for safety, even if he didn't have the right equipment. We made sure we were safe, and everybody got it done.
That's great. So, Jim, you've been in town for a long time, and among many things, perhaps not when you're in your youth, but certainly in your later years, is you've done a tremendous amount of community service. Presently, you're with the Rotary Club doing service in the community. Tell us about some of the work that you've done in the community.
Well, more recently, I've been on the advisory board for the Salvation Army, and we did a Rotary project out there and got a lot of stuff done, and I've done some stuff for them on the side. And we've always supported the nonprofits, anywhere from Little League to sports teams of other sorts, and then we have a whole list that we support. And since I've retired, I've been a driver for the Interfaith Food Ministry, who has a good bunch of people that needed our help there, and been doing that. So through the years, there's been various ones, but it's always, I've felt, mainly because the community kept us in business. In 1959, when I was 10 years old, my dad's shop burnt down. Well, he had 11 kids at that point and was trouble feeding the family, so insurance was not a priority, and so no insurance. But the people of Grass Valley helped rebuild Moule Paint and Glass, or we would have never been able to do it. I mean, between Hanson Brothers, Knights of Columbus, and a whole host of organizations came together and put us back in business.
I never heard that story. That's a great story, Jim, about a community saving itself.
Saved us.
Might need to get back to that. So when we pull this curtain back on yesterday and take a look back, there are a lot of things that happened back then that I'd long for us to see again, that kind of community involvement, and perhaps we can do that. Let's go back to your high school days. You lost the sight in your eye, so you probably weren't playing basketball.
I didn't play basketball, and when it first happened, because all my brothers, my older brothers were all playing sports in high school. And when it first happened, I asked the eye doctor, I said, well, can I play any sports? And he said, if you wear safety glasses, you should be able to play baseball. So I told my parents, they said I could play sports. So in high school, I played football. I was actually named outstanding lineman my senior year in football. Was named outstanding wrestler, got second in subsection in that, and played baseball. We had one of the few championship baseball teams. 1968, we won the championship in the Sierra Foothill League, and it's only been done once since then. So yeah, I played a little sports.
Boy, golly, how about that? Oh, one-eyed Jim Moule playing in sports. A great story, Jim. So I noticed that there's that you built a new building in the last few years over there.
Yeah, that's actually the second building that I've had built since I've owned it. I bought the store, actually my brother Tom and I bought the store in 1975. My parents wanted to retire. It was getting too busy up here. And then in 1984, we moved into a big metal building. I bought the lot next door. We tore down the old building, made a parking lot there. And so 84, we moved in that one, and then the new one we moved in 2007. And that's it. No more buildings.
No more buildings for you. Well, you're retired now.
Yeah.
Although I did witness you out on the side of the street sweeping up glass a couple of years ago right after you had retired. So, so with 11 of you kids, what kind of a house did you live in?
A crowded house.
Crowded house.
Yeah.
More than one bathroom.
Yeah, we had, there's a story there too, but when my parents came back from the Philippines after the war, their house had been burned. They'd rented it while they went over to the Philippines. My dad worked in the gold mines. The last one he worked at was the Idaho, Maryland, before he went to the Philippines and worked in the gold mines there. But so they had that rebuilt. And then when I was probably 6 months old, one of my brothers started a fire, burnt half the house down again. So they got to remodel and expand it a little bit because, 6 kids, it was getting crowded. So then when more kids came along, they took the upstairs, made 2 bedrooms out of that. So we ended up with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms.
Wow.
So we survived.
That's an estate.
Well, it got us through.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had good times.
And where was that house located in Grass Valley?
Well, it's off of Catalpa Lane, which probably nobody's heard of, and now it's where that Highlands housing development is. But if you go where the Bargain Barn is and the House of Print and Copy,
Yep.
between those 2 businesses is a little lane called Catalpa Lane. We lived at the end of that.
Right where the freeway is.
Well, we were about 100 yards from the freeway,
Wow.
as it turned out. And then they built a bunch of apartments between our house and the freeway, the Valley View, or not Valley View, but the Rockwood Apartments.
Yeah.
So we're right there.
So memories of those days in the 50s, interesting days. So television came around. You obviously saw television appear in your home.
Yeah, we did. And there's a story there, too. My dad was not one for liking his kids to sit around and watch a boob tube. So he came home for lunch one day and we were watching Little Rascals on the TV, and he says, "It's a sunny day out there. You kids aren't going to sit here and watch TV." He unplugged it, turned it to the wall, and said, "Go out and play." So that was it. We didn't have TV until the next football season when, Johnny Unitas was out there again. So it got plugged back in.
What other great memories have you got about those early days in Grass Valley as a kid?
Well, just, today you would probably call us free-range kids, because we went out in the morning and, until we got hungry, we would play in the woods. We would go as far as the airport, and then up where we are now in Whispering Pines. This was just nothing. Mm-hmm. And there was a little pond down a little bit further, but we'd go down and we'd play, and Lake Olympia was there, although the lodge burnt down when I was 9, and that was kind of the end of it. But there was Wolf Creek that we could play in, and all the woods. There was the old mines that were closed, and we'd explore around there. That was the doings of my accident. But there was just, we were outside kids. I mean, we didn't spend time inside.
Well, I had talked with Hillary Hedman one time about the mines and all of the mining holes that were around, and he claims that there were mines that they used to play in, that they held the boys' club. It was a boys-only club back in a mine someplace. And,
I never got involved in that one. We never got invited.
Never got invited with
No.
Hillary on that. Okay.
No. Well, when you have as many kids as we did, they were, parents of these kids were cautious about telling them, don't invite the Moules. They might all show up.
Okay, perhaps that's true. So the family picnic must have been an exciting event.
Yeah, it was. The most exciting event was St. Patrick's. We all went to the Catholic Church. They had a barbecue every summer, and we were there one summer, and my dad's name got called, and come to find out that's when his building was on fire. The guy 2 doors down was burning, and that's how he burned up his building. But yeah, we family get-togethers even now are quite an ordeal. We get 50 to 60 people show up.
Yeah.
A lot of.
So Nevada County was a good place to be raised, I think, as a kid. I wasn't raised here, but my wife grew up here on Park Avenue in Nevada City. She considered Pioneer Park her backyard. So yeah. So a great time to grow up here. So Jim, I want to thank you for being here today and helping us pull a curtain back on a yesterday in Nevada County and what it was like to be a kid here and play.
Hey, it's kind of fun to dredge up those old memories, you kind of forget.
Yeah.
Because when I was born, the census of 1950, there was less than 20,000 people in Nevada County. And then when I was 10 years old, 1960, it had grown to 21,500. So, there was not a lot of growth then. It all took off.
Yeah.
And when I bought the business, that's when things took off, and it has helped me a lot, and I got a lot to thank Nevada County for.
Well, we thank you, Jim, for your community service that is pretty legendary in the circles that I've been in. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you for talking with us today and helping us pull that curtain back and taking a look at Nevada County. So I want to say thank you to all of you that are watching. This is Gil Matthew and Talking With. Today, our guest, Jim Moule.
Thank you.